I'm Lisaan. I work for the fostering team in marketing and recruitment. Today I'm joined with Anthony. Hi, Anthony.
Hi, how are you?
What's your role at the fostering team?
My role is I'm the registered manager for the fostering team.
Okay, and how long have you been working in health and social care?
Oh, that's a really good question. You're making me feel rather old, but about 25, 26 years I've been in social care.
And what made you start? What made you come into this sector?
Well, I think my motivation has always been via the good family upbringing that I've had. And I've always wanted to get involved working with children and young people from a very early age, which is what I did. And I did it via the volunteering route into working for a charity, and then eventually got qualified as a social worker. And from that process, I've gone through the stages.
Okay. And now you're working for the fostering team.
That's correct.
And what do you think is different about the fostering team?
Well, in terms of what... In terms
What
of
do we
the-
bring?
Well, I think we bring a certain passion, commitment, knowledge, good work ethic, absolute massive on support, because I think when you're working with foster carers, your support, your offer has to be absolutely 100% there.
Yeah.
So that's out of hours, day-to-day support, discussions, picking up the phone, them sorts of things, attending meetings. And I think the fostering team, and certainly it builds into my value, because I think for me, it is about supporting one another in a very difficult environment and climate. And at the fostering team, I think we do that with all the social work team, plus the foster carers.
Yeah. Okay. So I work closely with new carers, people thinking about coming into fostering, and I just want you to answer a few questions, really.
No problem.
So for people that aren't really familiar with fostering, what's the difference between fostering and adoption?
Well, I think, that's a good question. And sometimes that is probably a question when people first make the initial inquiry, they'll say, what is the difference? And I think the biggest difference in adoption is your forever family. So the example I can give you, local authorities, whoever they may be, have a 3 or 4 month old baby, and they're looking for a forever family. So that is where the adoption process will kick in. So you as a family come along, you're assessed as an adoption, as an adopter, and you have to go through all the court process, and eventually I think the journey is that you get the child or children, and it's your forever family.
Yeah.
The support structures are slightly different, obviously, because as you move forward, the expectations are is that you care for these children as if they were your own children. In fostering, different, because what we say with foster carers contact us and say, look, I've got empty nest syndrome, really. My children have gone to university, and I want to give back. So we look at then, right, okay, we explore that. What do they actually understand what fostering means? We are not, I use this term, as the fostering team, we are not the corporate parent. We all know parental responsibility. We work obviously alongside local authorities in delivering the best possible care for children and young people. A lot of our children and young people come either with a care order or Section 20 in terms of they're accommodated, or they go in at the start of the court process. So the local authorities are looking for some time to conclude the court process, which may determine that these child don't go back to their birth family, or indeed they do with a plan. And that is where foster carers come in.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what skills do you think, for someone that's thinking about fostering, what are the basic skills? Say if I wanted to become a carer, what skills do I need?
I think first and foremost, we surprisingly enough, you need to have a bedroom. We get lots of people ringing, and you can tell really motivated, want to do the task, and then when they say, "Well, actually, I've not got a bedroom spare."
Yeah.
Well, you need a bedroom spare. You need the space capacity. I think time and energy. You've got to have the time and the energy to do the role of a foster carer. It's a difficult role, and I think certainly you've got to have compassion and empathy.
Yeah.
One of the things I always look for in prospective fostering families is, why now for them at this point? So tell me why, as a family, you want to do it now.
Yeah.
Where's it coming from? Where's it coming from? Where's that emotion? Where's that passion coming from to care for some of the most vulnerable children and young people?
Yeah. And can I have young children?
Yeah.
Is it okay if I'm single? Do I have to be in a relationship?
Well, all these things, we call that the Form F assessment process. So it's not so initially from picking up the phone to actually getting to the end of the journey. You're looking at up to a maximum 8 month could be 6 months minimum, a minimum 4 months. So it's quite speedy. So on the point, we call it stage 1 and a stage 2. Stage 1 is the application process.
Yeah.
And then that's only checks and references. And stage 2 is actually the assessment. That is the big report about you, your family. If it's a single carer, we have to look at that. Okay. One of the things with a single carer, Lisaan, is about your support networks. Who's going to be there to support you? Obviously, I will say now the fostering team will be there, but we also look for the emotional and practical support as well, which usually is contained within your family.
Right.
So I would suspect and expect that if there was issues with you applying at the initial visit stage or telephone conversation, the fostering team would have them discussions with you and give you some reasons as to why you couldn't apply at this moment. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But generally speaking, what we're looking for is people, carers, fostering households, single, same-sex, who have got the time, energy and capacity to do a really, really tough task.
Yeah. And how do you think you help the children in care? How do you think you impact their lives?
Oh, well, I think there's not an ever easy answer, but I would like to think they're getting the love, the emotion. We talk a lot about emotional competence and somebody being there, the value of that, of actually having somebody there. So a child at school who's struggling at school, maybe before didn't have the support, well, actually, they've now got an advocate. We would expect that. So the impact initially, I've seen it both ways, is huge. Children go to school, start making fantastic progress in education, and all the support structures. We talk a lot about attachment in social care and obviously safe care. Attachment's an interesting one because some children and young people will attach immediately, and others will really take their time to do that. What we always say to foster carers is, I think one thing I've probably missed out here, as you go through the approval stage, you're also doing lots of pre-skill training courses around attachment, understanding behaviours. We talk a lot about cognitive behaviours, so the child's behaviour, what they're learning, where they're at in terms of their emotional age and mental age, if that makes sense, and obviously the development age and stages of children. So I think the impact initially is the warm, stable environment, and from that then it's almost like the acorn that grows into a bigger tree. The idea is then they've got the wraparound support.
Yeah. So, Anthony, you've spoken a little bit about the journey. So can you expand on that a little bit for me?
Yeah, well, I think initially you asked me a question about who and how can they foster, and I talk a lot about the initial conversation, picking up the phone, so on and so forth, and we talked a little bit about stage 1, stage 2. A lot of that is social wordology, isn't it? At the end of all the report, in terms of checks, references, DBSs, that report or their report is presented to what we call our independent fostering panel. And this is usually 6 to 8 independent panel members, all from different social care backgrounds, who basically are there to recommend approval. So if I use you as an example, Lisaan, if we're recommending you for up to 2 children, 0 to 18, they need to see evidence as to why, and all that's in the report. Once that bit's concluded, it then goes to what we call the agency decision maker. They are the only person who will make the final decision in terms of recommendation. For you guys as a fostering family or foster carer. And then from then, that officially then you are a foster carer.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I think in my experience of dealing with families, we talk about the report a lot, and actually getting to panel is a big task because it's quite a big application pack. So whilst I don't want to try and make it sound, oh yes, it's so simple, you get this, the idea of the assessment is to test families in terms of where does it come from? How can you deal with difficult behaviours? What would you do if child doesn't return on an evening, child comes back at contact? So we try and understand your processes, your thoughts, because as I've said, we're not the corporate parent. We work alongside local authorities in offering the best and safest possible fostering households we can.
So you have to be quite resilient and quite determined.
Yeah, it's a great word, resilience, a great word, and what I always think about foster care is I always say that when you start your journey to when you start to reflect on where you're at, usually it changes. Most foster carers say it's not what I thought it was going to be, which is a good thing, because they're learning about that. They've probably got skills that they didn't know they had. A massive one's patience. You've got to have patience. alongside everything else.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
because our children and young people will test, families will test. You know, the testing agency, they will challenge the local authority. We've talked about if it's in the court process, there's some very delicate discussions that need to take place, and we've got to try and safeguard the children and young people from that as much as we possibly can.
Yeah.
You know, and when I say we, I'm respectfully meaning the foster carers.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Fine. Right. Thank you, Anthony.
No problem.
It's been lovely talking to you.
Lovely talking to you too.
Hopefully we'll have you back again and
Fantastic.
we can chat some more.
Yeah. Well, it's a massive topic, and it's current, and I think there's a lot to talk about.
Yes. Thank you.